Welcome to the Sisters on the Hill, the podcast from the Sisters of St. Benedict in Ferdinand. We are one of the largest communities of Benedictine women in the United States. And on this podcast, you'll get an inside look at life at the monastery, our work and ministries, programs, opportunities, and more.
Hello, welcome to the Sisters of St. Benedict of Ferdinand, Indiana's podcast. Today I have Sister Doris here with me, and we're just going to talk about her vocation story and kind of why she's here, why she stays, and what it's like. So, Sister Doris, can you first tell us, before we get into my questions, how long have you been here? Where are you from? What kind of ministry you do?
I have been here since 2006, so about 18 years. I actually grew up here in the town of Ferdinand. During my life before the monastery, I worked as a systems administrator for the local congressman for about 23 or 24 years. Here at the monastery, at one time I was a teacher, and now I'm back at home here at the monastery, and I do some computer work, and I work in liturgy, and I coordinate our volunteers.
So you do a lot of things. You are a Jane of all trades.
Yes, exactly.
So, Sister Doris, when did you first consider religious life?
I actually first considered it when I was a teenager. At that time, my brothers were in pre-sem, and people were making fun of them because they were going to become a priest, and so I never really told anybody about that. So as I began my adult life, the thought popped in and out of my head a few times, and I never really took any action on that. Then I finally said something to someone. That person became my spiritual director, and he really encouraged me, if I'm interested, to pursue it.
I'm just curious. It's not a question that I have given you, but you said as a teenager, why did it take you so long then to come?
Well, like I said, I've thought about it a few times, and it kept popping into my head, and I kept putting it aside. It's like, no, I have a good job. I have everything I need, everything I want. And then at some point, I just realized I still wasn't fulfilled. I still wasn't happy. Like I said, I had everything I could have wanted, and there was still something missing in my life.
So God really does call when it's supposed to be, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so how did you know that God was calling you here to this community of Ferdinand?
Well, since I grew up here in town, that was the first place that I explored. I knew many of the sisters. I had had them as teachers or religious ed teachers. And so the first thing I did was call one of the sisters that I knew. She encouraged me to come visit. She introduced me to the vocation director. I found a sense of peace here, but I didn't know if that sense of peace was because it was in Ferdinand, my hometown, and I was close to mom and dad and my family, or what it really was. And the vocation director, as we went along with the discernment process, the vocation director suggested that I really encouraged me to look at other places. I did that, and I realized that this was a place for me. The other places, some were a nice fit, but this place was still calling me. And I realized that the sense of peace that I felt here, it was very different than what I feel at my parents' house just down the street. So I really felt that this was where God was calling me to be.
What to you is the best thing about being a sister?
I like the terrarium, the routine, getting up and going to prayer in the morning, going to prayer at noon, going to prayer in the evening, and working in between those times. I like being with the sisters. They challenge me to be the best person that I can be. And that's at whatever I'm doing. If I'm working, they challenge me to be the best person. And like I said, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I'm playing, they challenge me to be the best person I can be.
What is the biggest challenge for you of being a sister?
I had a tough time with that question. I think it's just living with so many people and so many different personalities. But I realized that when I lived on mission, when I lived in Louisville, and when I lived at Evansville, there were sisters that I had a very different opinion of. But when I moved home, I realized this really isn't the person that I thought they were. The sisters want to be helpful, and they want what's best for each person in the community. And when I moved home, I really saw that side of some of the sisters that I didn't see perhaps when I was not living here.
To me, that's one of the benefits and a challenge of the whole spectrum of personalities that we have here.
Right.
And ages.
Yeah, and ages. Yeah.
What do you think is one thing that's misunderstood about religious life?
I think just the idea that sisters don't have fun. That was my perspective before I came and started visiting. Just the idea that sisters, all they do is pray and work. But I did a vocation talk one time at one of the elementary schools, and it was when Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader was on. And I told them we watched that show, and they were all like, that's my favorite show. And it's like, we're human beings. That's part of the balance of the Benedictine life is, you have to have that entertainment part of it as well. To be a whole person, you have to have all aspects of it.
That balance.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Well, tell me something fun about yourself.
That was a challenging one, too. I like to tell jokes. I like to make people laugh. I love to see people laughing and smiling. Whether it's something I did or said, or if it's, just whatever's happening at the time. I just love to see people smile and have a good time.
And Sister Doris is a big Indiana University fan.
Yes.
If you don't know, listeners, Sister Doris and I taught at the same school for 5 years.
I think so.
And we shared a car, and we spent lots of time because we lived about 30 minutes from school. We had lots of car rides and conversations, and it was a great experience. I think one of the cool things about living in community is that you and I got to spend time together and get to know each other, and just in a car ride from work.
Right. And I agree with that. That was a great experience. And that's one of the things I don't get here.
Right, yeah.
Because I don't have a drive to work anymore.
Yeah. But the neat thing is that how Doris likes Sister Doris likes to have fun is that I always know when I see her, this is the greeting I get. Jill! And I love it.
Some of the sisters in the lunch line were kind of looking at me yesterday when I did that.
They just don't get it.
That's right.
I'm going to save this last question for the very end, because at the end of all the podcasts, I'm asking the sisters all the same questions so that we can get to know us as human beings and not just religious sisters. So the first thing that comes to your mind, coffee or tea?
Neither.
I thought that's where you were going to go. So what's your favorite thing to drink?
Most of the time, water. I do drink hot tea once in a while.
Mystery novel or romance?
Probably mystery.
I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask. Morning or night?
Night. I'm not a morning person.
She is not. I can tell you that much. Would you go to the beach or to the mountains?
That's a tough one because I would like either one of them. I like hiking and walking, but I also like swimming.
You could say both.
Mm-hmm.
Summer or winter?
I think winter. I tend to get hot in the summertime a lot.
I have to share this, listeners, because every time I've asked this to sisters, it's usually been summer because everybody's cold, except for Sister Doris is now the second person who has said that she likes winter because she's hot. And she could probably guess who the other person was.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Sister Anita. She's a hot person, so she likes the winter. So my last question here, Sister Doris, if a woman was listening and she's discerning religious life, what advice or recommendation do you have for her?
I think just based on my experience in particular, don't be afraid to say something to somebody. Don't be afraid if you feel like you're being called. Don't be afraid to explore that. I waited a long time until I explored it. I was in my 40s when I entered. While I don't regret what I did with my life, I often wonder what it would have been like had I come earlier, had I not been afraid to tell somebody. So I think just explore it. It's not going to hurt anything to reach out and contact somebody in a convent or monastery. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to waste anything. Because even had I not entered, I still would have appreciated all of the time that I spent with the sisters. So I just think that you just need to get out there and explore it. Don't be afraid to do that.
So give us a call, ladies. It's okay. Well, thank you, Sister Doris, for taking time and telling us about who you are and your vocation story. And I hope you have a good rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, Sister Jill.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sisters on the Hill. If you're interested in exploring what life as a sister looks like and whether you're being called to that life, reach out to us at vocation@thedome.org. This podcast was recorded at Monastery Immaculate Conception in Ferdinand, Indiana, and was made possible by funds from our philanthropic circle, the Women of the Rule. Follow us on social media at Ferdinand OSB or visit us at thedome.org to learn more. That's THEDOME.org. Thanks again for listening and have a blessed day.